Hey everyone, Jack Allen Willard here doing some quick hits videos today. This topic, forget Jim Cramer, the CNBC Jive. It's a Monday as I record this. Another bad day on Wall Street. We've had so many last week. Completely was awful. It's just a few days before Thanksgiving now, as I record this, 2022. The people had a chance to vote in a better economy, to turn things around. Here in New York State, they could have voted in a governor that would start to turn New York City from a war zone back into a place maybe families would want to go. But no, no, no. No, they didn't do that, did they? No, not the people in those five boroughs. Upstate, people understood. Lee Zeldin, good man, would have been very good for the economy, would have been very good for the economy in the state of New York. Things would have started happening. None of that's going to happen. Now you get what you deserve. So, what about this CNBC? Jim Cramer, he's an interesting fellow and all that. I used to watch Mad Money, when I was first starting out on Robin Hood. Yeah, I'm a Robin Hooder, small time. Little fish in a very, very big pond, although the pond has shrunk. I noticed the water level is going down. Anyway, then I started to realize, there's a lot of hot air going on. And in the last, really since COVID started, there's been a lot of hot air. But he's had some greatest hits lately. And he's not the only one I would certainly have a beef. Let's talk about Squawk Box, the morning show first. You have the best hosts on NBC, CNBC there. And of course, that is Joe Kernen. Joe Kernen is the voice of reason in the morning. His co-host Roberta Quick is also excellent. She does a fine job, someone you could care about, someone you would want to watch. And then there, of course, is Andrew Ross Sorkin. Oh, man, hey, your politics are what they are, and he's probably a progressive. He's certainly very liberal. And I remember him having a conversation with Joe on air about Trump and maybe trying to say that Biden was better than he was. And if I were Joe, I would have said, Andrew, that 50% of America is looking at you on their TV screen right now, and they're all saying the same word about you. It's just one word. It describes you perfectly. But he didn't get that, He didn't get that by being as divisive as he was revealing himself to be somebody they would never want to watch in the morning. And you got Maria over on Fox Business, much more appealing, much more fair and balanced. They do a little more non-business news, maybe than they should sometimes, but people like that. Conservatives watch Fox Business, and there's some great people on Fox Business. Larry Kudlow is there, Maria, and of course Stuart Varney, and don't forget Neo Cavuto. That's a hell of a lineup, It's a hell of a lineup just right there. So, but Jim Cramer, I've already talked about, the morning crew, and then Jim Cramer comes on at 9 o'clock with the other two gentlemen. I like them. They're okay. But, Kramer dominates. He dominates. There was one morning, just maybe early last week, when he wasn't supposed to be on. He was off. Good. There's a new guy, and I'm interested in hearing his perspective at 9 o'clock. And it's much more tempered and much more easy to listen to, not just rambling, let me be witty stuff. But at 9:30, all of a sudden, well, Kramer's here, and he just takes over at that point. And he has said some pretty incredible things. It wasn't that long ago that he said, it's another day of the stocks are down and all his picks, forget it. And he says, well, it's probably good that the stocks are down. The stocks are down. People will go back to work now. People will go back to work now. No, they're not. That's why we're going to need, there is some truth to the fact that we're going to need the influx of new people that are willing to do the jobs Americans don't want to do anymore. How they're living, I don't know how they're living, because the stimulus checks have stopped happening, and you're never going to have much of a life if that's what you have. You're going to be playing your video games, and maybe living off of ma and stuff like that, ma and pa, and because they went out and worked and really were serious about building a future for you to sit on the couch with your device. And then you have other devices at night, I suppose. But yeah, he said that, and I thought, well, why would we be watching you if that's your attitude? You're just frustrated because, your picks don't do anything, and we're not telling the truth here. We're not simply telling the truth that in the last 22 months, a nosedive happened, and we know who's responsible for that nosedive. And the CNBC Jive is that they don't cover that because it's, partners with MSNBC, which is like something from, Invasion of the Body Snatchers now, with people that are racist against whites on there. Have you heard about this cross-country show? The things that come out of their mouths, if you reverse them, prejudice is never right. It doesn't matter who you're prejudiced against. It's never right. You can't do that to a group of people. Just like someone who calls themselves a Christian can't be against black people. Everybody you have to look at them based on their individual character. You judge them on their character. I'm not saying the kind of judgment where you say, well, I'm so much better than them and they could never go to heaven. No, you're not allowed to judge them like that. But you can make a judgment that this person is foolish and that you don't want to listen to their advice. Okay? So, racism is never any good, whether it's a white person doing it, Asian person doing it, or a black person doing it. I told you, and I've said this before, about Kamal Bell had a show and they were talking about his daddy, pretty stern guy, and they posed the question to Mr. Bell, whose show, he's gone too woke for me. I would never watch again, but he used to do some good shows before he got into the woke thing. And he said, well, was your dad a racist? His father was black. Was your dad a racist? And he said, oh yeah, he was. Let's just be honest. And let's stop being so damn thin-skinned about jokes. Ricky Gervais has a good bit on that. We have forgotten how to laugh at ourselves. But anyway, Jim Cramer, there's just been a number of things that he has said. He recently admitted, I think it was last week, that nobody's listened to me in 8 months. So I'm probably not going to want to join your morning meeting that you always advertise, and I'm not going to care about mad money because the stock market is in the tank. Joe Biden and his brood that lead him play a major role. It's just another crappy day on the stock market. And you can, we had a chance to correct all this. If there was ever a time to say, no, we're going to stop the mudslide. We're gonna stop the nosedive of the plane, and not enough people did it. Not enough Republicans voted. So whatever happens, it's on you, man. It's on you. It's on you. There was anything else that Jim Cramer has said that I wanted to share. I think that's basically his greatest. He just gets there on there and rambles. I like this and I like that. I have invested on some of the stocks. I thought, oh well, CNBC likes it. It's on the screen. And, in order to have, like today, Disney's going up because they bought CEO Iger back. They bought CEO Iger back. So if you can afford 1,000 shares of Disney and you did that at 9:30 East Coast time, you could make some money today. But I'm not in that league. I'm not in that league. So a stock that makes $4 or $5, I can only buy a few shares, really. So it's not going to benefit me. But one of the reasons Disney is going up is because I think the perception is he's going to stop the jive of the woke crowd. Who needs to first be fired is those women that were on video and that were all cackling. Oh, I put all kinds of sexual stuff in there for the little kids. I sneak it in. I get away with it. Nobody says anything. I'm putting a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I think that's called child abuse. Let's just call it what it is. It's child abuse. Just like when you want to teach a kindergarten about sexual issues and you want to lap off the breast of a 14-year-old without their parents' consent. Talk to Bill Maher about that. He says, thank God my parents didn't take me seriously. You're not developed at 14. You don't know what you really want. There'd be a lot of forced cowboys and there'd be a lot of forced astronauts. Well, he's 14 and he's saying he wants to be an astronaut. Let's see what we can do to get him into some kind of an astronaut program. We freaking lost our minds. We have voted for the nosedive of this country economically, spiritually, in every situation. That's what we've done. And I thank YouTube. I know they're going to review this, but you let Candy Sowen speak, and man, she's a lot more direct than me. And so the people that say, "Oh, Google, they don't allow liberal speech," yes, they do. Yes, they do. Now, in terms of ad content, I can only say what's in my heart. If it's not ad suitable, that's cool with me. I'm not on here to make money. I haven't collected a dime yet. I better get those tax papers in so I can collect a dime at least, But that's all it's ever going to be for me. I'm not doing slick editing, I'm trying to make it look like a Spielberg production. I'm just speaking from my heart. Somebody will care. Not so many unless I speak about Bob Joyce, and then people care. I'm going to do a quick Bob Joyce video. More concise than the other one I just did. But anyway, what I'm saying here is we get the kind of government we deserve. There's moment the president and his minions started messing with crypto, and now we've had the young man who turned out he didn't know what he was doing. But that started before him. Crypto started going down. The little guy used to be able to make a little bit of money, even on Bitcoin. You didn't have enough money for a full share, but you could make you could make $10-15 a day on it sometimes. All destroyed once Joe Biden came into office, and CNBC doesn't say that. And so to me, that alone, when you don't mention the name of the pilot who is nosediving the plane into the water, or worse, into the trees, you have no credibility with me. You have no credibility with me. Forget Jim Cramer. Forget CNBC Jive. No help in this economy because they won't even admit with any regularity, unless we're talking about Joe Kernen in the morning, they won't admit who is nosediving the plane. Jack the Fair Guy is my email. Jack the Fair Guy, F-A-I-R, jackthefairguy@gmail.com. There's lots of great videos here at the Virtual Church of the Disillusioned. Check out the One Mofo Rule. Check out the Last Days radio show. You might as well know when you're in the last days. Don't be uninformed. Don't be uninformed. If we're in their last days and it looks like we're well into them, it's good to know about it. Talk to you soon.